I'm pretty sure this rocket design is backwards, and having the engine on top and the fuel tanks on the bottom will not end well. Well, technically a rocket scientist named Robert Goddard had his reasons, and this is what we're going to be talking about on the next Vintage Retrospekt. In the early 1920s, physicist Robert Goddard proposed that a rocket could one day carry a payload to the moon. People thought this was insane based on an old hypothesis that a rocket expelling combustion from burning fuels could not push against the vacuum of space since there's no air to push against. Well, it got so bad that the New York Times wrote an article calling Goddard's invention out. Also, why does this thing look really weird and not a rocket? Hello, this is Chad, your host for the first episode of 2026 and the all-new series called First in Space, where we're only touching on the forward-moving space events in history, such as the first ever liquid-fueled rocket flown. Now, don't get me wrong, Robert Goddard did not invent rockets, nor did he even come up with the rocket equation. That title actually belongs to Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, a Russian scientist. Robert Goddard took Konstantin's equation and started the first test of a liquid-fueled rocket in Worcester, Massachusetts on March 16, 1926. Want to take a stab at how long that flight went? About 3 seconds. And it did fly to an altitude of 12 meters and fell 56 meters away. But was the short length of the flight the result of a backward designed rocket? Well, let's take a look at the early designs. Now, considering that solid propellants were actually used before, these rockets never had any stability or combustion reliability. Goddard, of course, discovered that chilled liquid oxygen would overcome the raw explosive fuel, which during flight never provided a stable burn and resulted in an unexpected fireworks show. If you have seen the movie October Sky, they made that change from pure explosive combustions to pure alcohol, which of course provided oxygen as well and created a consistent and streamlined burn. Goddard's proposed design placed a gas tank, yes, he called it gas, on the bottom suspended by a twin launch pendulum which boasted a combustion chamber on the top. This hoopskirt design should confuse you. This bottom tapered frame is actually the launch tower for the rocket. Here's a clip of how the awkward contraption worked. The igniter was placed at the very top, and needle valves would open on the sides to let in the liquid oxygen and gasoline to pour into the combustion chamber. He called this rocket Nell, and this Nell rocket gave name to the famous quote by Goddard to put critics in their place. "Every vision is a joke until the first man accomplishes it. Once realized, it becomes commonplace." Later, he improved the rocket and added gyroscopes, fuel pumps, and steering vanes. And with time, his test articles finally started to take shape. Yeah, this shape. Robert Goddard certainly makes the list for this premier First in Space series. Even though his rockets never actually reached space, it does give way to the foundation of the space race, which started in 1956. Next on this series, we will cover the German V2 rocket. Why? Guess you're going to have to find out. If you enjoyed this new series, please consider liking and subscribing so that people don't make the mistake of thinking the first rocket ever was Sputnik. Yeah, some people really think Sputnik was a rocket. Also, before I go, don't forget to get your modern space news over here at Orbital Edge, where I also host a new spaceflight show. Again, my name is Chad, and I will see you out on the launch pad.